You're listening to Simply the Best Sports Take, the best podcast breaking down the best stuff in sports with host Sean Bingham. His takes are so good, he dropped the mic, but then you wouldn't be able to hear him, and that would suck.
Welcome into Simply the Best Sports Podcast. I am your host, Sean Bingham, and today we have another great 10-minute podcast for you on tap. Today I'm talking about a couple of different things. Let's just dive right into it, because to be honest with you, I'm in a little bit of a hurry. First thing I want to talk about, though, is a little follow-up on something I mentioned just a couple of days ago about LeBron James, right? He has this big monster night, walks off the court, strutting his stuff, telling us how great he is, telling us how he ain't about losing, y'all. You know me, I've been in this league for a long time, I'm not about losing. And the next game, the Cavaliers lose to the 1-8 Atlanta Hawks. Yes, the Atlanta Hawks were 1-8 on an 8-game losing streak and beat the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, 117-115. And you know what's really weird about it? Dwayne Wade had his best game as a Cavalier. 25 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, only played 32 minutes. Kyle Korver had 23 points. LeBron was his usual great self, 26 points, 5 rebounds, 13 assists. But the Cavs dropped to 4-6 on the year, 12th place in the lowly East. And I don't know, they can't play defense. That nobody's scared of these guys. Nobody plays the Cavaliers and is scared. I'm still thinking it's going to change come playoff time. But I mean, right now they're in 12th. It's super early. I mean, we're a tenth of the way through the season, an eighth of the way through the season. But the Celtics, on the other hand, who got Kyrie Irving, of course, they lose Hayward in the first 5 minutes of the season. So they lose that game to the Cavs, lose their next game, but they've won 8 straight since then. They have the best record in the league by themselves at 8-2. It's their best start since KG and Ray Allen were there with Paul Pierce, and they won it all. So how ironic and weird would it be if the Cavs missed the playoffs and the Celtics won the East and went to the finals? How catastrophic would that be for LeBron's legacy? That would literally be catastrophic to LeBron's legacy if the Celtics were to win the East and the Cavs were to miss the playoffs. I don't think that's happening. I really don't, but they're not off to a good start, that's for sure. It's early, and we know that they're an older team. They're going to turn it on come playoff time, come end of the season, but they better at least make the playoffs. I mean, the regular season counts in that you have to win a certain number of games to even qualify to play in the postseason. So hopefully at some point they turn it around, because it's more fun when they're in it. It's more fun to watch LeBron than to watch others. So I hope they turn it around. I think they will. What bothered me the most about this game, though, and I'm not a LeBron hater. I'm actually a huge LeBron fan, for the record. I love LeBron, and I recognize his greatness. Where I get bothered is when people don't live in reality and they want to put him ahead of the likes of Michael Jordan, act like he's this, clutch player. You just can't be considered clutch when you're 3-5 in the finals. And you've had teammates like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh in their prime, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love in their prime as your teammates, and you're 3-5. He on 2 of those finals, Kyrie was hurt for his first one with the new Cavs, and the first Cavs team he took and got swept by the Spurs in 2007. That team wasn't very good, but he still is 3-5. Okay, very, very hard to defend that. And what bothered me though about this game was that LeBron again refused to take the big shot. The Cavs were down 117-115. Time's ticking away, tick, 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 tick. Best player in the world has the ball, starts to drive, and only down 2. What does he do? He passes to Channing Frye for a 3. Instead of when they're only down 2, he could have driven the lane and tied it. He could have drawn the foul and gone to the line and tied it. But no, we know that LeBron is scared of the free throw line, especially late in games, and so he passes it to Channing Frye, a guy who doesn't even play much, to take the game-winning shot. Can you imagine? I mean, yeah, everyone wants to bring up, oh, well, Steve Kerr hit a game winner. Oh, well, John Paxson hit a game winner. Yeah, that's true. They did. But that's 2 instances that you can point to. And there's multiple where Jordan hit the game winner. There's multiple where Jordan took the game winner and lost. And so it just bothers me that LeBron treats, in the second quarter, that might have been an okay play to make. Hey, I drive the lane, I get slightly cut off, Channing Frye's open for 3, I'm going to dish it to him. That's a decent play. Not at the end of a game, though. LeBron treats the end of the game like it's no different than the rest of the game. And you can't do that. You can't do that. Tom Brady doesn't stroll out and huddle up every play, taking his time when the Pats are down and they need a touchdown and there's only a minute on the clock. It's clutch time at that point. It's clutch time. Your mindset shifts, your focus heightens, your confidence either shrinks or it enhances, and the great ones get more confident in those moments. It's not a normal game anymore. It's do or die. It's clutch time. My Redskins, I'm very proud of my Redskins, by the way. Shifting to the NFL while still kind of segueing from the LeBron talk. Kirk Cousins, he's a great quarterback. He's not in that elite upper echelon, I admit that, but he is a very, very good quarterback who's going to get paid big, big dollars and be starting in this league for a long, long time. But yesterday, Skins are down. They need a touchdown. They have a minute 34 on the clock. They'd only scored one touchdown the previous 58 minutes and 26 seconds. Okay? But they had to do it right here, right now, minute 34 on the clock, do or die, let's go. And they do it. And Kirk Cousins went 70 yards in 35 seconds, made two of the best throws of the entire game on that drive. Josh Doctson laid out for the catch of the year on one of those throws, and he laid out in a way that he probably would not have in the first or second or maybe even third quarter. Why? Because in the fourth, on that drive, at that time, it was not a normal game anymore. He knew they needed that ball. They needed that win. The Redskins were 3-4. If they dropped to 3-5, the chances of the playoffs get dimmer and dimmer. The Skins needed a win, and they got it. So proud of my Redskins. Got a huge win on the road at Seattle. Very, very proud of them. The Skins are legit. I mean, they've got a ways to go, but they're legit. I mean, They've lost twice to the Eagles, who are the best team in the league. They've lost once to the Chiefs, who were the best team in the league at the time, still a top 5. And they lost once to the Cowboys, who just beat the Chiefs and are a really, really good team. So the Redskins are the real deal. They beat the Rams on the road, by the way. Rams are 6-2 atop the division. They beat the Raiders, who are a really good team. They beat the 49ers, who are admittedly awful. And they just beat the Seahawks in Seattle, which is extremely hard to do, especially against a team that's pretty darn good. So the Redskins are the real deal. Unfortunately, in the NFC East, there is a team called the Philadelphia Eagles, who I just have to continue to admit are phenomenal. Carson Wentz is on a rampage. I mentioned just a few days ago that, on my personal MVP ballot, he was second, just barely behind Alex Smith. Well, yesterday, Alex Smith lost to the Cowboys, threw his first interception of the season. His team dropped to 6-3. Meanwhile, Carson Wentz dropped 51 points on the Broncos, who are statistically the best team in the league, beat the Broncos 51-23, threw 4 more touchdowns for a league-leading 23 touchdowns on the season. His team is 8-1, best record in the league by themselves. They are steamrolling right now. Carson Wentz is steamrolling, gaining more and more confidence each week, and it's a moving target, this MVP thing. Every week counts. Every week changes. I don't think the guys are super concerned with getting the award, but I'm sure it's nice when they do. But with those two performances, you got to reverse that order. Carson Wentz is the front runner now for MVP with Alex Smith behind him. Season isn't over. A lot of games left to be played. But the Eagles, they just added Jay Ajayi too. I mean, they're the real deal, and I don't see anyone in the NFC beating them. Behind them by a game and a half are the Saints, the Rams, and who's the other team? The Vikings. Saints, Rams, and Vikings. I'm going to say come playoff time, the Vikings and Rams aren't going to be real threats, mainly due to the fact that they just at quarterback and at coaching, they just don't have the personnel. They don't have the experience. They don't have the playoff, resume, I guess. I don't see it happening come playoff time for the Vikings or the Rams. The Saints, however, are the real deal for the same reason. They do have that playoff resume. They do have that experience. They do have a Super Bowl winning quarterback and Super Bowl winning coach. And so the Saints could be the real deal. They've won 6 in a row after dropping their first 2. But again, barring a major injury or a key injury on the Philadelphia Eagles, I think we're going to see them in the Super Bowl, which is cool, for the NFC East, but, unfortunate because I'm a Redskins fan. But Carson Wentz is the real deal. The Rams, by the way, have scored more points this season through 8 games than they did all of last season. It's unbelievable what Sean McVay is doing for that team. He came from the Redskins, by the way. He's a coach. I think he's 32. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's like 32 years old is all. The guy's unbelievable. The Rams are going to be really, really good. I don't think this year is the year that they break through and make it to a Super Bowl or anything. But I could see them winning a playoff game. Very, very good team. But honestly, I got to wrap up. That's all the time I have for today. Clutch time is not regular time. Let's step it up, LeBron. You have potential to be the greatest of all time. You're right there in the mix. I take that back. The chances of you passing Jordan are very, very slim, but you have a chance to be known as like a top 2-3 player in everyone's mind, not just in the majority, but in everyone's mind. Let's hit a few more clutch shots, not be so scared to go to the line, and let's make that happen for you. I'm out. Peace.
Thanks for hanging with Simply the Best Sports Take. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and check out stbsportstake.com. Simply the best in sports.